Okay, welcome everyone to another OSR tabletop with myself, DM Bloodworth, and now the music is not signed. Do you hear the music on your end too, Peter?
I don't. I
Oh, you
just
don't?
hear
All right.
you.
So it's just me. All right. I just stopped. All right, good. So, oh, I see. I know what I'm doing. Let's get rid of that. That's what it was. I had YouTube opened up on another thing, so another tab. So
Gotcha.
I was hearing it crossover. So
That'll
anyway,
do it.
welcome everyone, and welcome Peter. So Peter and I, we have crossed paths several times now at various conventions, and I'm a big fan of the work that he does, both at running games at conventions, but also his game products. And he currently has a Kickstarter that is underway now. And so, welcome, Peter. I'll let you introduce yourself and then get into the Kickstarter details and other stuff that you're working on as well.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Richard. It's good to talk to you again. I've been watching the show a lot, but I haven't been on to speak with you in a while. So this is great. I'm Pete Saloom. I have a tiny little publishing company called Pear Studio. I'm from Central Massachusetts. I primarily write currently for the Savage Worlds rule system. However, I'm looking to branch into other licenses as well as I kind of navigate those agreements and contracts. And right now, I've got a Kickstarter live for a new multi-part adventure and mini setting called Beacon Island that I'm happy to say is funded. Funded in the first week, and we've got 19 days to go, and we're trying to generate as much traction as we can for it because every dime we raise from this point forward goes directly to independent writers, artists, or industry professionals. So that's really important to me, obviously. So that's what we're up to.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. So how is Beacon Island different from the other Savage Worlds based adventures and setting books and whatnot that you've done before?
Yeah, good question. So I am a serial genre hopper when it comes to writing, and that is a testament to the Savage Worlds rule system because under a single license, I am able, and a single set of rules, I am able to create my first published title, which was a Weird West horror themed adventure called Shadows of the Sacred Hills. Shortly after that, I released a sort of survival sci-fi investigation using the same rule system that was called the Icelian Hybrid. And then I jumped over to Beacon Island, which is a real departure in that the theme of this is very much steeped in 1990s nostalgia and pop culture because that is the decade when I was a young teen and teenager. And so it harkens back to that. It's got a very kids on bike feel with a sci-fi mystery bent to it. A lot of my inspirations for it came from films like The Goonies, movies like Super 8 or Dreamcatcher, and other pop culture stuff in that time frame, including things even as weird as like Men in Black and things like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what really I backed it immediately. Not just because we've known each other for quite some time now. We've
Thank you very
played each
much.
other's games and everything like that. But it's like I'm always looking for a genre that is underrepresented in my collection. And the only other one that kind of matches with that I do have is Bloat Games has some like kids on bikes kind of themed things.
Yes.
And although his is 80s nostalgia and yours
Okay.
is 90s nostalgia, so
Yep.
maybe once we get into 2030 or 2040, I'll be looking at the 2000s nostalgia kind of kids on bikes kind of thing. So that'll probably be kids on well, no,
Kids.
Razor scooters was 90s. So, that's going back, or early 2000s. I'm sorry, early 2000s.
Yeah, it'll be kids on hoverboards.
Yeah, kids on hoverboards. Yeah, the ones that burn up in flames, right?
Yep.
Because the
Yep.
battery's
Yep.
exploding. Yeah, no. As a matter of fact, yeah, my kids, because my kids were born in 2002 and
Okay.
4, respectively, so they were the Razor scooters. So it'll be kids
Yep.
on Razor scooters.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I'm always looking for new genres as well. And like I said, underrepresented genres in my thing. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm backing this. Plus I'm a big fan of the Savage Worlds, just the rules, mechanics, and everything. I just like
Oh yeah.
their system. It's
Yeah.
really well. I've played it now in your two Weird West and and that sci-fi horror aliens kind of setting. And so this will be a new setting. I will most likely run this,
Good.
rather than just play it, but I'm certainly looking to play it as well. But it is certainly something that once I do get it, because it's a new genre for me to run, I would certainly look to run this.
I've always approached my writing, because I am sort of the forever GM type of
Mhm.
personality. I've always approached my writing with the game master forefront in my mind.
Right.
I come up with my ideas however I come about them, and once I find them interesting, I think, how can I package this in a way that I can hand it off to somebody without me explaining or going into any real detail, and say, this is the adventure. I believe there's everything in here you need to get through this comfortably, organized, without
Mhm.
stressing out, and you can take it from there. That's a real point, design kind of criteria when I make stuff. Is
Right.
I'm a convention GM. I don't have a long-standing home group. I don't do a lot of that. I travel around. I get 4 hours with people that I've never met, and that's their impression of me going on forever. So I,
Yeah.
I try to convey that in the products that I make, that it's all there, everything you need to have a good time, and it all makes sense and is easy to use.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I mean, I have personal experience with your agility, at sitting over a table and being able to introduce your adventure module in place of we were supposed to run, I think, Alien, or going through
Yes.
Aliens.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a
Yeah,
scheduling snafu. Yep.
yeah, and so you were able to step in and and we just jumped right into it, and it was just a great experience. So yeah, that kind of the convention, running convention games is a whole different level of game mastering that I think is something that everyone out there, you should get that experience, at least try it once. Don't be too afraid of it either. I tell people, when you go there and you're running your very first game session at a convention, people coming to the table, they're they're they understand, or hopefully they do understand, that this is a whole different kind of experience that they're looking for and everything. And
Certainly.
as long as you're not a total nincompoop, you'll be able to, you'll be able to run it off, and there will be leniency, granted towards, especially somebody who's new to it, and you
Oh,
pick them up
absolutely.
very fast. Yeah, you know,
Yeah, my advice would be, if you are new and maybe intimidated to submit your own game to run in the RPG space, would be, go for it, because the scary things in life are usually the rewarding things.
right.
Also, don't pretend you're something you're not.
Hmm.
You can write in your game description that you submit for a convention. You can write a sentence that says, "This is the first time I've ever run a TTRPG at a convention."
Yeah,
And then everyone, the expectations will be there, and it'll be
yeah,
very clear up front, and you can tell people at the
yeah,
table, and you know 99.99% of everyone you'll cross path with at a convention has either been in your shoes before, or is willing to show you grace
hmm,
and go with it, and maybe even provide helpful feedback towards the end of the
yeah.
session if they can. So don't be afraid. It won't be terrible. Nobody will throw a tomato at you. You can do it.
Yeah. It's like as long as you're prepared and
Hmm.
and you show that you care,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Because that if you look like you're totally unprepared for it, yeah, that they're going to give you negative feedback for sure. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, as long as you give it a good effort, you'll be fine.
Yeah. As
Um,
long as your head's in the right place, you're doing
yeah,
it for the right reasons, and you've got the right attitude,
yeah,
you're not gonna encounter resistance, I don't think.
yeah. That's so. Let me get to some of the questions here. So here's a
Oh, we
question
got
for you.
questions.
So,
Good.
Peter, the art in this book looks amazing so far. What piece of art is your absolute favorite so far? That's such a jam question, though, right? It's like it's like who's your favorite child?
Yeah.
It's like but I'll let you try to feel.
So, I think I know John via other internet channels here, and he's a good guy and also writes adventures as well that are cool. Um, And I want to just first shout out the artist on this project. Her name is Lynn Redder. And I met her maybe about 6 months before I started getting this project together. I had seen her art online, and just in my head, I had cataloged it and said, that is really distinct. You don't see it a lot in the TTRPG space because it is a very I call it, and I mean this only as a compliment. I call it sort of a mixture of Saturday morning cartoon and comic book art kind of together.
Mhm.
And she has a really cool balance of that. And so when I started putting this together, I approached her and said, "Hey, maybe we can work something out and do this project together?" And the stars aligned, and we were able to. In terms of the pieces of art, we have a number of them, and we are hoping to still produce some more as well. I think one of my favorites is she put together a nighttime scene of this big sort of golem like robot monster that we have nicknamed Rusty. Um, and that came from me giving her a completely nonsensical email description of what I was trying to explain, and her having to take my ideas in writing and use her visual skills and try to put it on the paper. And she really nailed it. I mean, she made it better than what I thought it was going to be. It kind of evokes the mood and
Mm.
the attitude of the setting. So that's probably one of my favorite pieces. But when I knew that it was going to work out was when I first had her do the pre-gen characters when I was playtesting at conventions. I wanted to get that character art to incorporate at the game table. And she came up with those quickly and accurately, and they really had the vibe that I wanted to convey to the players. So, yeah, that was it. And I think that's our artist right there. So, yeah, she could probably tell you more about this in more technical detail than I can. But
Yeah.
what she does is amazing, and we're hoping that depending on where we go here with the continued funding, maybe we can work some more full page art or something. We're just trying to keep our our eyes open to what we can do here. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm going to show the Kickstarter off here. Actually, I'll do a
Sure.
share right now, and let's see, and we'll see where it stands. So let me refresh this because it was at 213, 2113, still there. So here is the
Yeah.
Kickstarter, and so it has met it's beat its pledge. So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we're going to go down and take a look. So this is the cover art, and I know you had some other pieces of art that you wanted to share.
Sure.
So I will click over onto the Discord where you put those,
Cool.
and take a look at them there. But so an enigmatic storm threatens the island. All right. And I'll make this larger so everyone can see it a little bit better than that. Hopefully that makes it easier for you all to read on that end, possibly. So, what's in the book? So, I know this is some of the art, and let me know when we hit any of the artwork that she had specifically done. If
All
that
of it.
all
Everything you see,
everything,
everything
the cover
everything you
art.
see is drawn by her.
All right.
The graphic design and the trade dress and layout is not done by Lynn. That's done by Carl Kiesler, who has done my previous projects. So some of it is a combination of her work and his.
Okay. Yeah. And the art style that you were talking about, that combination here, and yeah, you're right. It's like a combination between cartoon and comic book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's cartoonish with some edge to it, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't come off as childish.
Right. It's
Let's
not
put it that
completely
way.
soft. It's not completely
Yeah,
cute and cuddly. It has that edge with some of the bolder lines that you see and just
yeah,
that style of drawing that's a little bit more from, I mean, I read a lot of comics, so it's a little bit more from that kind
yes,
of genre.
yeah. So we'll take a look at some more here. So so the Kid's Guide, character creation, archetypes, setting info, pre-generated characters and gear.
Mhm.
Oh, so that's nice. So there's some pre-gens attached to it.
Yeah,
Um,
there's pre-gens,
yeah,
and then there's also archetypes just to get the creative juices flowing if you're looking for some inspiration to make a character. Essentially, if a GM wants to pick up Beacon Island and just bring it straight to the table that night and run it,
right.
they're free to do so.
Cool.
And they have everything they need to do that. However, because this project originally started as me just writing one sort of longer-ish adventure, we ended up playtesting it so much at so many conventions that we had developed the rest of this island and the rest of this town, and it became obvious there was more we could offer than
Hmm.
just the adventure I wrote. So then it became, well, let's provide the adventure, but let's also give them the whole island and the gazetteer, and let's give the GMs the option to just do totally their own thing in this space if they want to, which I think would be great. So the way we divided the book was in three parts. Basically, the first part of the book is the player facing section of the book, character creation, gear, things all players would know about the setting. The second is the GM's guide. We're calling it the Lightkeeper's Guide.
Right.
And that's got all the GM facing how to run this setting and make it feel unique type of information, including um, about 150-year timeline of the strange events of the island, a gazetteer of all the places and people that are of importance, maps, encounter generators for those that use those and need those to kind of spark the imagination, all sorts of other stuff that's helpful to them. And then the last section of the book is actually the pre-written adventure called Lonesome Power,
Right.
and that is I believe a five act adventure, and that's or mini campaign, however you want to call that. And that's got everything you need to play that adventure, including a small bestiary, pre-generated characters, table tents if you're going to be, printing those out and using them at a convention. So
Yeah. Yeah. I like the fact that you call it a light keeper, because I like game systems and games, you know, to have a different name for game master, or you know, that
mhm.
the matches the theme and the tone of the game system. So you know,
Yeah.
that's something that I've always been. I like the fact, you know, like Call of Cthulhu, it's a keeper. You know, Castles and Crusades, it's a castle keeper. You know,
Deadlands, it's a Marshall.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I went like, you know, it became like a pet peeve of mine, because I went into like a big back and forth with Modifius when they were doing Conan, and I was
Uh,
like, it should be a chronicler. I mean,
oh
you
yeah.
the Nemetean Chronicles. How you? No, we're gonna go with Game Master. I was like, that is so ridiculously bad, you know, to go with that. And it was, you know, that was
Well,
back when they were
it's just
still
so
beta
stock.
testing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so generic.
why not make it really stand out and match to the thing? So I like the fact that it's called the Light Keeper, because that is now something that you know, will latch on to people. People will remember that now. You know,
So for your listeners that maybe
yeah,
aren't East Coast or Northeast like we are, this is set in a kind of fictional coastal New England island.
Hmm.
And, one of the prime features we have up here in Massachusetts and Maine on the coast are these lighthouses.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, a lightkeeper is not anymore, but used to be the guy
Yeah.
who lived in the lighthouse and kept the light on, and
Yeah.
so that's where that all came from.
Yeah. And again, it ties into the theme. It sets the tone. It really does, and it matches what the person, the role is for, the person running the game, right? So
Exactly.
that's important too. So so yeah, I'm really really looking forward to it, and
Oh,
get
good.
my hands on it, and then we'll see 2026. It might be, I'm running some new game systems in 2026. So I've already spoken about, Hyperborea I'll be running for the
Oh,
first
good.
time, and then Dragon Slayer I want to run, and maybe this will be the third one.
Hey,
I'm
cool.
running.
I would be honored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, this will be maybe possibly the third one that I run in 2026 at a convention.
Have you run any Savage Worlds previously?
No, no,
Oh,
I've just
okay.
played. I've
Okay.
just played in Savage Worlds, but I haven't had it, just haven't gotten around to, because I've run so many different games. It's like I just haven't gotten around to running it yet,
I,
but
I think you'll
yours will
find
probably be my first.
that'd be great. I
Yeah,
think you'll find that Savage Worlds makes the GM's life easier in a lot of
yeah,
ways. I do feel like versus some other systems, um, I feel a little more relaxed running Savage Worlds because I
mm,
feel like I have more flexibility and more kind of tools in the toolbox that I can draw from,
right,
when things are kind of going in a direction that maybe I didn't anticipate.
right.
So yeah, I would love to hear your notes
Yeah,
after trying that for the first time and what your
yeah,
impressions were.
yeah. Yeah, I'll do with it like I did with Shadow Dark, right? The first time I ever ran Shadow Dark was at a convention, and it's like, so that's a true test of a game system when you're running it in that kind of an environment, and it
Yeah, that's
runs
really
really
jumping in.
smoothly. Yeah, yeah, I will jump in like that. Um, Now, when is this expected to
We think we're going to fulfill in January.
fulfill in
Um,
January?
Yep. I so far I don't have any indication of any big delays that would pop up. So just so if people are on the fence and wondering like kind of what state the project is in, the book is written and going through editing. The word count may change by 1,000 to 2,000 words based on edits from here on out,
Mm,
but everything is done. Um, the layout has been kind of designed, but has not been totally completed yet because, as I
right,
said, we're still going through some of the copy editing. All the art, except maybe like one map, is complete at this time. So we're very close on that. And any of the other digital extra things that we're doing, such as blank character sheets, blank table tents, printable figure flats for all the pre-gens
mm,
and the NPCs and creatures in the bestiary. That stuff's all underway and won't take too long to do. So I don't see, barring any type of unseen DTRPG fulfillment issue, um, I don't see any major delays here. I think we're pretty close to right on track. So
cool.
I'm confident.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to run it at Rising Phoenix because I'm pretty sure you're probably running it there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I may. It's weird because I have now run this. I don't know how many times I've now run through this in different iterations, and I designed sort of one shot versions of it to run it at conventions, even though the way it is going to be presented in the book is longer format.
Right.
Um, and I think I'm actually going to take a break from it. Maybe I'm going to a convention in February called Total Con, and I think I may not run it there just because as a creative person, and this is not disparaging my project at all. It's a great project. I like it. I'm already thinking about what's next. And I'm already working on other things, and I have other stuff I've got to go try out as well. So so who knows?
All right. Sounds good. Well, maybe I will run it then. We'll see. Yeah. Um, so let's see. Let's get to some questions. So I love table tents. Um, I've used them in other of Pete's products, and they're perfect for cons.
Oh,
All right.
wow. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think they make so table tents basically for anybody who's not aware of them is we make a condensed character sheet and we fold it in half
Oh yeah, yeah,
so that it has player facing info facing the player, but it has important GM info facing the GM to allow him to move faster. So things like the character's toughness or their core stats or their major
yeah.
hindrances are always facing the GM. So he or she does not have to ask themselves, I wonder if this guy is playing into his hindrance right now, or
Right,
if he's
right,
just,
right.
or if he's not paying attention, or what's going on, because it's all there in front of him. It allows things to move just 5% smoother than they would without it, and every little bit helps. So yeah.
Yeah, no, those are awesome. I've experienced that firsthand as well.
Mhm.
And your setup was actually one of my inspirations for the way that I set up my convention table as well. To
Oh,
be
good.
to be at now. I don't use the table tents. Yeah, I did something similar with like name cards, and then it
Yep.
would have the character's name on the back and whatnot, so others can see what their character class and race and all that stuff
Yeah.
was, but not to the full extent that yours was. Um, but yeah, it really got. And we've had this discussion before. It's like we're running games at conventions, and I was like, I think it's really important to show off the game system that you're running. You're kind of like a pop up advertisement for
Yes.
that game,
Yep.
and I think that's super important to do as a game master in a convention. And your setup was just phenomenal. I mean,
Thank
with
you very much.
you had that huge cutout, like that cutout of the monster that was in.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I was like just blown away. I was like, wow, this is really, cool stuff. So, yeah, so table tents
Thank
is
you.
definitely a
One thing I'd add to the table tents thing is you don't have to make your own custom, you don't have to have Photoshop and do all that stuff and laminate things. Often I use dry erase triangular nameplates that I picked up off of Amazon for really cheap.
yeah,
And so sometimes when I'm running a game that I don't have some big elaborate setup for, I just hand those out and I have people write their character name on the side that's facing me and anything else they think I need to know all
yeah,
the time.
yeah,
And then they can write whatever they want to keep track of on the back.
mm,
And those can be had for I think I bought a 6-pack of those on Amazon or somewhere for I'm going to say less than $20. So those are a great tool to throw in
mm,
the bag if you're going to a convention. Um, the nice thing about Savage Worlds is you can have an elaborate tabletop setup and you can spend all the time you want doing it. And that's great. It does add to it,
yeah,
certainly. But you can also run Savage Worlds completely theater of the mind with
yeah,
nothing on the table in front of you except the character sheets, and maybe if things get technical you scribble out a little map of, okay, here's the room, here's kind of roughly where everybody is so they know what's going
yeah,
on, we're not confused. And I've had some awesome sessions like that. So
yeah.
it's very flexible either way. The production value varies depending on the person and how many hours they want to sink into that.
Cool. Question for you. So, does it use the modified rules for Young Hindrance or the standard one from the main rule book?
Okay, so this is someone who's definitely read the rules because this was a struggling point on the mechanical end of the development for this game. Because when I first developed it, I said, oh, okay, one cool thing is everybody will have the hindrance young, which is a hindrance that is in the core rulebook.
Right.
But then as I was play testing it and reading the rules a little further, I realized that the intention of the young hindrance in the core rulebook is to indicate that one member of the party is significantly younger than the others, meaning you would have like an adult group and like one teenager or something like that.
Right.
And so if everyone is a peer, which in Beacon Island, everybody's playing a character that is, you know, fictionally between 12 and 15 years old,
Mhm.
somewhere in that category, then you actually don't want to give them the hindrance because they are all young and therefore they shouldn't suffer from the hindrance, because they are not significantly younger than their peers. If
Right.
you if you took the young hindrance in Beacon Island, we would suggest that, okay, you are now 7 or 8 years old, maybe the younger sibling of one
I
of the
see.
other party members, and that makes more sense. So we got rid of that everybody has the young hindrance thing after about 6 months of playtesting it or something like that, and we threw that away and said, nope, you're all young, but you're the same peer age, so there's no hindrance about that. Take your own other hindrances, and that made the characters more unique by doing that.
Very good. Let me field this question here to me. So, Shadow Dark is fun to run for cons. Mike Shea put together a conversion for Ravenloft. Totally wanted to run for Halloween. Yeah, I've met Mike Shea. He's a great guy. We actually played in Zeb Cook's Oriental Adventures game at page 2. My character died. His did not. So it was Mike Shea and his wife. So very, very pleasant people. Great to game with him. And yeah, it's
And Shadow Dark is fantastic. It's very elegant. I've had the book for a while and read it, and then over the weekend here in Vermont, I just finally got to play in my first game
oh cool.
of it, which was a large group game on Friday night. And the game master we had, his name was James, was excellent
Yeah.
at running this. It was easy. I don't think I had any rules questions after the first sort of 20 or 30 minutes of getting into it. I felt comfortable enough to do everything I needed to do. And yeah, I think that's a great game, and I'd like to learn more about it and get to try it out more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great system. It's so easy to pick up and run. Like I said, the first time I ever ran it was at a convention. It was at Rising Phoenix, and that
Do
was the
you
first.
have the core rule book?
Yeah.
So one thing I noticed about that reading it is, and I don't know if you picked up on this while you were, the layout in that book, they never make any type of table or section run from one page to the next.
No, everything's self-contained, right?
Yeah, for every page of hundreds of pages.
Mhm.
Maybe this doesn't mean a lot to casual people who
Yeah.
read game books, but once you've produced a few books, you realize that takes incredible effort and time
Yeah.
to put
Yeah.
together. And so, I mean, that is really a testament to her ability to focus on conveying info in an easy to understand way.
Yeah. It really is because I mean, I look at the alternative, which there are some and great game systems, but they don't have that adherence to layout that makes sense,
Mhm.
and yeah, absolutely, that's a huge plus. You know,
I see. I see people can compare Shadow Dark to the other game Morkborg, which I don't know if you're familiar
yeah,
with.
that I don't have, right?
Okay, and I have gotten to play that, and it is a great game,
Mm,
and it is super fun and enjoyable. It's also kind of rules light, efficient
right.
OSR feel, very
Mhm.
highly deadly, lethal type thing. But they spend a great deal of their time making their layout uh, wild and graphic and crazy.
Mhm.
Is their sort of design thing,
Yeah,
and that's what they do, and they're known for. But I struggle to read and absorb the knowledge because of the layout. I have to work
yeah,
harder. I have to work
yeah.
harder to get it. Yeah.
I mean, you have AD&D first edition
No.
Dungeon Master's Guide layout, and then you have you know awesome content, but the
Don't get me
layout is
started. Yeah.
the layout is just like whoa. That
Yeah.
is although to be fair, you know we were able to handle that at 12 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? So
I remember memorizing
yeah,
second edition THACO charts. Like
yeah, it feels like
I don't know
yeah,
how my brain could do that, but
yeah. Yeah, we were able to do that back when we were, 11, 12, 13 years old. So, I mean, maybe there's something to say about that generation versus,
Well, when you're young,
nowadays.
you've
We
got this
got
elastic brain when you're
Yeah,
young,
yeah.
you
We,
know.
we 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 got spoiled by other things. Like I've tried to go back to some of the older games, like console games or computer games, and I see the graphics now. I'm like, oh my god, how the hell did I can't even play this anymore? And I absolutely loved it when I was 15 years old, and now it's like I can't even do it. So
Come a long,
yeah,
long way.
it's but yeah, there's a lot that goes into just game design, and the layout is one of them that is so important that it is something that I guess a lot of people don't think about until they see poor layout versus really purposeful layout. And that's how I would best describe something like Shadow Dark. It's like, oh no, we have to make sure that layout is done really well, and they nailed it.
Because yeah, they know that the smoother the transmission of information from the text to the GM, the smoother the game sessions go, and the smoother
Yes,
the game sessions go, the more people love your game. That's just the way it is. At the foundation of playing RPGs, it's a conversation back and forth where a GM describes a circumstance, the players ask some questions about the circumstance and do some things, and the GM describes a new circumstance. And that is the most rudimentary version of what TTRPGs are. And the less time that the GM has to move away or say, well, hold on, let me figure out
right.
before they can introduce the new circumstance, the better off they are. The more fun people are having, the more memorable the game session's going to be.
Yeah. So so let's get back to your stuff now.
Sure, sure, sure.
We got thrown off on a Shadow Dark tangent.
That's okay.
Uh,
I love this stuff.
so yeah, it's great stuff, and the two game systems are very easy to pick up with, so they're good comparisons to make. I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think that Kelsey would be upset that we're comparing it to Savage Worlds and vice versa, right? So
No, no.
I'm sure that they'd be like, hey, that's cool,
Yeah, and there's room for
so
everybody at the table. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so yeah, I'm kind of remiss that I haven't really gotten a chance to run Savage Worlds yet, and
Mhm.
that's something like I have some of their stuff. Like I have Solomon Kane, which I absolutely being a huge Robert E. Howard fan, like and that I have the original one, the
Yeah.
first edition of that. I haven't seen the newer edition of it, but yeah, Savage Worlds is an awesome system, and with you know, you're not a third party creator because you have a direct association with them, right? You're like a second party creator, correct?
Yeah, well, I'm officially third party. I have a license from them that's called I'm an ACE licensee, which basically means that because of the things that I've submitted to them and the approvals they've given to me, I don't require approval to publish under their license.
Cool.
For example, if I was to write a new adventure today, I don't have to send it to them and say, "Is this okay? Can I
Right.
do this?" I kind of have carte blanche to
Mhm.
do what I want. Obviously, if I do something that
Yeah,
seriously
insane.
offends
Right.
them
Yeah,
or
yeah. It's like
something, there will be a conversation. But
right.
that's not what's going to happen. And so it's nice because it gives me that freedom to not have to worry about that secondary approval process. And it also has financial ramifications on how I can sell my product and
Right.
and this and that and the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah, because I never know like why like what would second party be if
Right.
don't know where that for you because they only talk about
Third
first and
party.
third.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Yeah.
who's second? I
Yeah.
was thinking that was like an official licensee that doesn't directly work for the company itself, but
Yeah, it would be something like that. I guess I
yeah,
would maybe fall into that bucket. Yeah.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say that that's probably the
Yeah.
case, and
Yeah.
that's an awesome thing because like you said, I mean you're given some um you have the trust, you've built trust, and then that's an awesome thing. So that's good to hear,
Yeah.
and love the fact that you like to you like to spread around to different genres and everything like that. So we can always
Oh
look to
yeah.
see some new stuff coming from you as well.
Oh
So
yeah.
how many projects or how many oars in the water do you have for, like, let's say the next year?
So only two right now. My real focus, 100% of my time right now is on getting Beacon Island
Mhm.
through the campaign, maintaining above funding threshold, obviously,
Right,
and getting the book finished, laid out, and fulfilled. That's
right,
priority numero uno. And then I'm working on the kind of rough sketches for games I'm going to run at Total Con and Rising Phoenix
right,
coming up in the spring. Those are going to be I'm going to be running some Savage Worlds, but I'm going back to sci-fi, a little bit different
okay,
twist on sci-fi than what I've done before. And I've been running a lot of Mothership, so
right,
moving away from sci-fi, from Savage World. I've
yeah,
been running a lot of Mothership, and I've also gone through the licensing process with Tuesday Night Games,
right,
and so I'm hoping to start developing my first Mothership module,
cool,
but it is in extreme prototype stage at this
all right,
time, and will be brought to the conventions, and that's when you really find out if it has legs or not, and if you want to continue with it, and kind of what you need to do to get it sort of polished, I guess.
right. You know, and your testing ground is always conventions, or you do
So it's
online?
mostly conventions. I
Yeah,
also host a monthly game night here in the city I live in at a local brewery. So well, for good or bad, I use them as guinea pigs all the time, and they're very willing participants. And so I use that. And I used to run some more games online. I haven't run a game online in over a year, I think.
mhm,
Um, I really don't prefer it over in-person play, but it
right,
has its value. And if I need to, I can. And
yeah,
you can get really valuable feedback that way as well. Certainly if I didn't have these opportunities to travel or to host these game nights, that's where I would be doing all of my
right,
time. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's it is a lot of fun to run these games and to test out our creations, in the convention space and everything. It's I've adopted the same thing. I only write adventures for, conventions now. I don't bring someone else's adventure to
Mm,
a convention table. Yeah, it's
mm,
like, even if I'm using like yours, like I'm using Beacon Island, I'm going
mhm.
to use that and then create an adventure specifically for me to run.
I
Add it,
love that. I
I'm
love that.
saying it's that way. It's kind of, both boosting, you know, Beacon Island or whatever I'm
Mhm.
running, and also my own, getting my own writing and, creativity out there, because that's going to match better with my style of running a game, and tweaking. Sometimes I tweak systems and everything like that. Well, actually,
Mm.
almost always you have to tweak a system for convention play. So let me ask you
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah.
So how how easy is it to convert to 4 hour play?
So, that's almost exclusively how I play tested it, even though
Yeah.
I developed it for longer format play.
Mhm.
So, I would say it's very easy. Um, I know that, like you just mentioned, I know that almost all creative game masters out there take a product, even if they love it just as it's written,
Mhm.
they're gonna add their special sauce, to
Yes.
this, and their own flavor to it. And I hope I speak for most creators when I say I love that. I love to see that. I know what I wrote. I think what I wrote is good, but it's way more exciting for me to see what I wrote as perceived, through your lens and your
Mhm.
creativity, because that's surprising to me and
Yeah.
new. And so that's what I want to see. Um, I would say that in the Lonesome Power adventure, it's basically 5 separate adventures. So
Mhm.
if you were running it really fast, I would say it's probably 5 4 hour um, adventures put together. Your mileage may vary. People have
Right.
different paces and lengths of time that they play, it could go 10 sessions if
Mhm.
you wanted it to. But you could take any one of those, and with a little bit of GM creativity, you could make any of them stand alone, or you could take the heavy plot points from each of them, which is what I did in playtest, and squish them all into one block, which is very, very action packed and fast paced,
Right, right,
because
right.
they're basically moving from one discovery to the next in a chain reaction,
Mm.
so that you can cover all that ground in, typically a convention time slot is 4 hours that you've got.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited to, you know, get my hands on it and start reading through it and everything, and like I said, preparing to run it at some point.
Oh, that's
Um,
great. I
yeah,
appreciate the support. That's
yeah,
really kind of you.
definitely looking to do that. And as I always tell, like everyone on my channel, it's like it's very rare for me to have a creator on this channel where I haven't backed, the same product. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? It's like I don't, I don't. I like to put my money where my mouth is, right? And
mm.
um, I've always loved your content,
Thank you so much.
and anybody I've had on the channel, it's like I just love their stuff, and like the opportunity to run most of it. I got to get better at doing that, like running everything, but I have too much stuff to actually run eventually. So it's like every year I got to add 3 more games in,
And
and
that's why
yeah.
it's so flattering to us when people choose to run our products, because you have an endless sea
Mhm.
of good stuff out there.
Yeah.
Good solid stuff that's
Yeah.
great. It's as good as mine or better. And so when someone says, "No, I'm going to take the time to read your stuff and run it," it's a great compliment to receive, because time is precious, and
Yeah.
most of us have a bookshelf with more games on it than they can run in the
Mm.
days they have left on this
Right.
planet.
Right.
So,
You know, yeah, it's like, I don't want to be just a hoarder. I want to be somebody who has the stuff and actually has a chance to run it as well. Um, it is a select few number of games out there,
yeah,
that do get run like that. Which is why I'm a huge fan of small conventions like the ones that we attend, because when you walk around, and I had this realization when I did go to Rising Phoenix, and I know I've mentioned that convention like half a dozen times already. That's a phenomenal convention.
it's
You
worth the mentions.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's worth the mentions. And when I walked around there, and there's like 40 some odd tables, and just so many different game systems being played out there, and everyone had like decent displays of what was going on at their table. So just by casually walking by, you could pick up what was going on at every table.
Yep.
And it really does talk to, in my opinion, it really does talk to the strength of both OSR and indie gaming out there. Is that, even though they might not be the multi-million dollar,
Right.
productions that you'll get from Wizards of the Coast or Paizo or something like that, or even some of the smaller ones like Chaosium and whatnot, or even Savage Worlds, which is not, but still probably within the top 8, let's say.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
it's just a
it's a
tiny
fraction, yeah,
fraction.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
a fraction of those other monsters. But when you go out there, you see their games being run, and it's like, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter to me if it's a multi-million-dollar thing or not. I see it being played,
Yeah.
and to me, that's a true measure of a quality of a game. Is if
Mhm.
you see it being played in the wild,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's something that I always try to emphasize. And when you're going to a convention, try to play in as many different gaming experiences as you can when you go
Mm.
there. And then when you start running, don't run too many different game systems, because that's brutal. I've made that mistake, on at least one occasion, running 5 different game systems. But
Yeah,
but
that you can burn out. Yep.
yeah, yeah, you burn out real fast. But yeah, broaden your horizons and get out there and try out these new games. And if you haven't played different genres of games, try to get just one really good example of each of those genres and at least get your experience in that, So,
Yes.
kids on bikes from the 1990s, there's one place to go that I'm going to say you go to, and that's Beacon Island. Get your hands on it. I'm assuming you do need the core book of Savage Worlds to run it. So you do need the core book of Savage Worlds to run it, but that's a self-contained core book. You only need one book for it, and you're good to go. All right.
Yep.
And it's probably still compatible with the older, what was that called? The Adventures Edition, right? No, the Adventures is the current one. The other one,
Explorers, I think, was the previous
Explorers Edition. Yep. So it'll work.
It wouldn't break it. Yeah, it wouldn't break it. You'd have to change the name of one skill to another, but it wouldn't break anything. One thing I'll say to touch on the diversity of gaming that you were just mentioning is New England gamers at conventions, they love independent games and they love seeing a diversity of games and trying new things. So if you decide to run a underrepresented game at a convention like Rising Phoenix, like Total Con, like Carnage Con, like Shire Con, places like that, you will get signups. People will come to play those games, and they are eager to. It's not that we don't have big D&D communities or Pathfinder communities. We have all of that, but there's always this attitude and this desire and excitement about, ooh, I've heard about this game and I had this book on my shelf, but I've never got to play it. So now I'm really pumped to come try this game and learn about it. I see that all the time with Savage Worlds, which is underrepresented in New England.
Yes. Yeah. It's just such variety that you see at smaller cons in particular. So let's see. I've been it's been forever since you've been to a con. Yeah, so go to a small one. It will be like a coming home kind of experience when you go to a small con. It'll bring you back to when you first got into the hobby and your first experiences with it. It's truly amazing thing when you go. If you throw yourself into the into the deep water, into the deep end of the pool, and my first comic book convention was at the Javits Center for New York City Comic Con. It was huge. Like, hey, I'm in with like 60,000 people a day, and it's like, it takes you 2 hours to walk across the pavilion, let alone see anything, and pick up anything. It's just, you go to a smaller con that's like 600 or less, it's just gonna be amazing.
You're going to get a sense of community at the smaller conventions that you don't get at the larger ones. You're going to meet people at these conventions that if you choose to continue to go to them, you're going to see them year after year. And that might be the only time you see them throughout the year. And then you stay in contact with them via social media in between. But when you see them, you've got this this great warm feeling of like, these are people I know, I respect. They have the same passions and interests that I do. And it's just like, you're in your zone with your tribe, and it has a good, small vibe, comfortable, welcoming feeling.
Yes. I like this comment here from Grom. I have more settings for more RPGs than I reasonably have years left of life on Earth. Yeah.
Keep buying them.
Yeah, keep on buying. No, keep on buying.
I see no issue there.
Yeah, leave it to your relatives or friends when you pass.
Yep. Yeah, donate them to the local gaming club in your will, and you're all set.
Yeah. Donate them someplace where they will run them. They will play them. Yeah.
Yep.
So some people looking for online play. Yeah, that's exclusively what I do until convention time. Is I just run online. It just gives you so many different advantages to being able to run different things and to set up different times of the day. There is a downside to it. Like people
Yeah.
are less inclined to
Engaged.
show up all the time when it's online, because things get in the way too. You're mostly, once you get to my age, it's like, it's harder to always make those things happen. But
Yeah, it's hard for
yeah,
everybody. The scheduling's the number one enemy
yes,
of the campaign for sure. One
yeah,
thing I've thought of is trying to run some, and I know you do this actually a little. I've been thinking about running some like 2-hour games on my Discord server
yeah,
just to try to get some people involved that might want to just sample some of the stuff I do and see if it's for them,
yeah,
and get involved. And I'll admit my Discord server is kind of under sort of neglected and not what it should be. I should probably develop it a little bit more. It just kind of falls down the order of priorities. But that would be fun for me, and I think would be manageable. Doing sort of like 2-hour quick versions of some of my adventures, and also ones that I'm testing,
right,
just to meet new players, gather new feedback, and help people decide. Oh, Beacon Island. Okay, that wasn't exactly what I thought it was. Maybe that one's not for me, or maybe they do like, some of the other stuff that I'm working on, and they can go pick it up and learn more about it. So I keep telling myself I'm going to do that. I'm going to have to make a New Year's resolution to actually
yeah,
get my ass in gear and do it though.
yeah, yeah. It's I think it's important, like with those short little expeditions into a new game system and everything. As long as you give them a taste of character creation, that should be
Mm,
part of that 2-hour block, and
okay.
then let them have those characters start off at a point where they're on the verge of going up a level, so that way they can get that kind of experience as well. And
Okay.
you're treating it more like a tutorial, and a demonstration of the game when you're doing those 2-hour things. But you
Right.
also have to have like a compelling story that they're doing, and a couple quick scenarios that they're going to go through and everything.
Yeah.
And that way you can still contain it within a 2-hour time block, but they're getting a true sense of what are the strengths of this game system, and what is it like to go up, various levels and everything. That's exactly what I'm doing with the Shadow Dark, where, my play test now that I'm doing is the first level characters are going to start off with 5 experience points. At 10 they get to the next level,
Right. Right.
right? And so they're going to do like a little mini adventure, and then if they're successful in that mini adventure and don't die, then they'll get enough gold that they can do a carousal, which can give them anywhere from 1, 2 to, well, up to 4 experience points, plus whatever they got from the mini adventure will be enough for them to get to second level. All of that from start to finish might only take about 40 minutes of
Wow.
a 3-hour time block, right? Because it's a real quick little mini quest that they're going to do, that's going to set some seeds for the real adventure, the main adventure that
Oh,
they're going to go
okay.
on.
Got it.
But it's going to give them an opportunity to experience that part of the game of leveling up a character, and then they gain a super amount of agency because they're making the decision
Yep.
of what's going to happen with that character. They're walking home with that character too, which is another really important thing for convention play, that every player at your table should walk away with a character sheet,
Oh, okay. All right.
right?
I
So
think I think um I think that is valuable to people because it is not only the character that they played for that session, but it's also a good physical reminder of what they came and did in a
yeah,
busy weekend when you don't always remember everything you
yeah,
did, that they can follow up on afterwards.
yeah. It's something I keep every character sheet that I've played in those games. I
Mhm.
mean, and it's like, and I've had plenty of feedback from players who have said, oh, I can take the character sheet. Yeah, yeah, that's yours to take. Oh, thank you so much. I'm gonna, and I can use this in my home game, or if we come back, can we bring character sheets, like you said about seeing the same people at conventions in kind of our network area, that yeah, you can play that character again,
Yeah.
and the next time I'm running something, you can bring that character over. And I think it's really important to do that. And it does overall pitch that experience that you're looking to
Right.
get, because I like to treat every convention or even a short 2-hour session like this is a tutorial, and but this is something that's going to be meaningful, that you can walk away with some kind of memorabilia of it, from the experience as well.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me.
Yeah. So let's see. Online, that's how you got in the game. Well, thank you, Johnny. And thank you for coming on in. I've got to run a meeting to pretend to work. Yeah. Yeah. Meetings are pretend work. It's like if you can keep your eyes open, it's like,
I'm sure it could just be an email, John.
yeah. Yeah. It's like we could have done this on Zoom, for Christ's sakes. It's like, although I remember in the military for meetings, we used to have to sit, and you used to have to raise your legs up off the floor. You know what I'm saying? So even when in a seated position, otherwise you'd fall asleep. You'd fall asleep in almost every one of those meetings.
Yeah.
We were free to walk to the back of the room and lean up against the wall and just watch there, because if it was 10 times worse if you fell asleep in the chair. That was brutal.
I believe it.
But yeah, yeah. So I feel your pain with meetings. Meetings are freaking tough. So anyway, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. I was glancing every once in a while to see, and yeah, you picked up a few more backers. I think 3 more backers in the time that we've been going. And everyone, please, I'm going to share it out again. So give you a chance to check this out. So let's.
Well, thank you, everybody. That's incredibly generous of you. It means a lot. And I'll tell you, this money does not go to buying me a second or third beach house. It goes back to primarily to our artists, our layout people. These are people that we want to support, human beings making art. We want to support them doing that in our industry, and it's really tough. And my financial incentives, just because I'm a very transparent person in this type of thing, are if I can pay for my artwork and my layout and any other costs associated with producing the work and keep $0 for myself, I'm happy. That is fine for me. If I somehow figure out a way to put an extra few bucks in my pocket, all the better, but that's not the reason I'm doing this. I've just got, ideas in my head and I got to get them out there. So that's what I do it for.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to just go through some of the pledge levels here. So for $30, you get the print on demand and the PDF. So it's a one volume, setup. So, which many people are starting to kind of get to, where it's like, I really prefer this, to have everything in one. But you can get the, just the PDF if you wish to. But to be honest with you, for $30, for an extra $10, I would grab the physical and the PDF. And then you can go to some others here, some of the other choices here. You have the 3 PDF setup. You have all 5 PDFs and print on demands. And one thing, if you've never backed anything on these before, let me just tell you that as long as you have something in there, you can always change your pledge later on.
That's
even after it closed, you can always increase your pledge level, because sometimes these things hit at the wrong time of the year. All right. like school taxes are due in October. So it's
There
like
you go.
it's like sometimes they hit at the wrong time of the year. I definitely feel you there. I've run into that, as well. And it's like, hey, you know what? Let me get the small pledge in now, and I can always increase that later on when things loosen up a little bit better. Like I said, it is quite literally in New York, at least, it's quite literally school tax time. So it's like,
Okay.
yeah, it's like, all right, let's see how this is going to work out, kind of thing.
Yeah, and all the publishers are trying to get their Kickstarters out before the end of the year now because they've got their own tax reasons to
Yeah,
get all these expenses out in the same year that they get the project funded and all of
right.
that. So
Yeah,
I knew nothing about crowdfunding going into this. I all my other work had been self-funded up to this point, so I wanted to carefully complete a
right,
Kickstarter in a way where I did it with integrity and didn't let anybody down, but also learned, for the
right.
future. And wow, was it an eye opener how much there is to learn about what I thought was a very straightforward sort of model. Wow. I
Yeah,
sat with a lot of people who are very successful Kickstarter and crowdfunding people, and they were generous enough to take their time and tell me what to avoid, what to do, what to not do.
right.
And I could not have navigated this without very successfully without some of that guidance because it's a real business model and it's got some real technical strategy to it that I kind of I guess I took for granted that it was going to be a little more straightforward than that.
Right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into it. There's a
Oh
lot
boy,
that,
yeah.
like
Timing. Yep.
just the timing and everything. Like when you're, you know, I mean, I've thrown stuff on drive through RPG. That's it. That's like a no. Like there's
Me
there's
too.
nothing that you have to think about there. It's kind of like the amateur hour of publication, right?
And
And
that's
it's
and that's
designed
all
to
I've
be
done.
that way.
Yeah. Yep.
It's designed to be that way. All
Yep.
right. So once you go to Kickstarter or probably even BackerKit is probably very similar as well. And there's some other ones like Lulu Press. I think Lulu Press is closer to like how drive through operates
I'm
than,
not sure.
yeah, I think that's more the stuff is already done and you're just purchasing it through them
Yeah,
kind
but
of
Backer
thing
BackerKit is a quite similar competitive model to
to
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, correct. So yeah, that's something that is, I've seen people's Kickstarters fall apart, and just from lack of experience. And I've seen some really big name people whose
Mm,
Kickstarters just collapsed, and it's like, wow,
mm,
it's like you're surprising, that it did fall through, and that's because it's not an easy thing to navigate, and there's a lot of market knowledge that you need to know,
yes. Yep.
that, hey, what's the timing of this kind of thing? And we don't think about that kind of thing when we're on the purchaser end. We don't really understand it
Right.
until we start seeing, like, that's the first time I was thinking really from your perspective of, well, we want to make sure that the thing can be delivered before, our taxable year too. Because when I look at it, like I said, like a homeowner consumer.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
like, school taxes are in October. It's
Yep.
like, that's part of my consideration, and your consideration or someone else's on Kickstarter or whatever, their consideration is, well, this is the other model, or other thing that we have to consider, that we don't think about. So it's an interesting thing to have, um, publishers come on to the channel and talk to our audiences and explain, well, this is why this kind of thing happens and everything. So that's great to have that insight into it as well, to see on their end, of this is what goes into publishing
Right.
something,
Yeah, and
that
I hope to learn a lot more about it. I'm new to
yeah,
this. I started publishing in 2024, so
yeah,
I'm not gonna act like I'm a wise,
yeah,
experienced person in this. I'm learning every day, every month. I'm learning something new.
yeah. Well, you have quite a few under your belt, though. You have what, like 17?
No, 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 no,
No, where?
no,
Let me find it.
no, no,
Uh,
no, no, no. I only have one. I only have one Kickstarter. This is the only one I've done.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is your first created, it says.
This
You,
is the
you,
first created Kickstarter I've done. All my other projects to this point.
you backed. Yeah, that's where I saw the 17. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, well, he has some. I was like, oh no, I just misread that. So this
No,
is
if
your
I had
very
17
first
under my belt, I better know what I'm doing
17.
by then.
And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, he's still a newbie after 17. I was like, oh, you
No, no,
backed
no.
17.
No, I'd be in serious trouble if I was still figuring it out after 17. Yeah.
Well, that's even more important for you to hit your target on the first one and everything. So
Mm. Yep.
that's really, big kudos to you. And and the fact that you know, you didn't put like a $50 limit, a $50 target,
Yeah,
because I've
right.
seen that before too. It's like, oh, come on,
Really?
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen like
Huh.
crazy low targets, and it's like, oh, that's just so you can say, oh, I got one that's been backed, it's been successful,
Right.
so
I have a strong belief that nobody should work for free. And
yeah,
in the gaming industry, I am often disappointed in some of the expectations I see just in the society of gaming in general, that there should be all this free work done.
yeah,
And that people will argue with me on that, and they'll say there's this and that and there's exposure and there's that, but I'd never have somebody work for me and not pay them, and I don't
mm,
think anybody else should devalue themselves that way.
yeah,
I think you should work, and you should have a in your mind that you're going to get your value for your work, whatever that number is. It might be a low number, it might be a high number, but
yeah. There
you
should
have
be
to
some
you have to
form,
set some
yeah,
bars, there.
yeah,
Yeah,
should be some form of compensation. I
yeah.
mean, when I was doing a lot of alpha and beta testing of
Hmm.
MMOs, that was my thing. Like early 2000s, that's what I was, because I wasn't back in tabletop role playing yet. I
Right.
was doing MMOs across the board. Many big, big projects that
Yep.
were out there, from Star Wars Galaxies to Age of Conan, uh, Pirates of the Burning Sea, which was originally Sea Dogs, then it became Pirates of the Caribbean when the first movie came out, and then
Oh, okay.
it became
Okay.
Pirates of the Burning Sea when they kind of bounced around. That one company, Flying Labs, kept on bouncing around the different titles, wherever they could make extra money from. Obviously,
Mm.
once it went to Pirates of the Caribbean, Disney snatched, their work, and then they had to go in a different direction. But anyway, um, the way that they compensated you for doing alpha testing, and even some beta testers as well, was they give you a free copy of the game, and or they'll give you, hey, we'll give you 2 years of subscription for free,
Yeah.
for doing your work. But there was some form of compensation there.
And they absolutely should, because
And
you deserve that.
your
Yeah.
name wouldn't be attached to anything though.
No,
That
no.
you wouldn't be attached to, but at least you'd have that offset, for putting in that time. So yeah, I agree with you that you should have something, out there that's compensating you in some way. But recognition is also something that, some people are like, hey, I'm good with that too. And if that's fine for you, that's great.
Everybody has their own equation
Yeah,
for what
yeah.
works for
Everyone
them.
has what they're going to be
Yep.
looking for, and
Yep.
and that's fine as well.
Yep.
And when I look at our hobby in general, like I could never be like a paid game master.
Mm.
I talk about like paid dungeon masters. Like, oh, you're going to give me $20 an hour to run a game. It's like I'm not at that point, like where that's not how my gaming is wired. So it's like
Yeah.
I do it for free.
Yeah. I wonder what that might do to my psychology, or like how I actually run the game if I have that factor in my head.
Yeah, it's
I wonder if I might behave differently in some way.
yeah,
Yeah, I just don't know.
yeah. I know there's the added responsibility of when you're running at a convention. All right.
Mhm.
Because it's in your mind that these people in some way they paid to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, for
They
sure.
have paid to be there in their time and their, they gave up that schedule, that 4 hour block of their time to sit at your table. So
Yeah.
that's
Which
that's
means they're trusting you.
yeah, that's a responsibility that you are bringing to that table, that, this better be a good experience for these people I've never met before at the table, and so if you were getting paid on top of that, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want that pressure. It'd be like, oh, you know what? That's a little bit more than just, thank you for your time kind of thing.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, um, the deeper you get into this hobby, the more responsibility you start to carry,
You
and
can. You can.
yeah,
Yeah. I
and
would suggest that people monitor the load that they put on themselves, because if you take something that you really enjoy and you put too much load on yourself, you'll take something you loved and turn it into something that you resent.
yeah,
And that's sad. That's really
yeah,
sad. So find out what level floats your boat. I mean, and
mhm,
and stick to that until you feel like maybe trying something else. And
yeah,
if that doesn't increase your joy, don't do it.
right,
Remember, it's a game. Everybody, including the GM, is supposed to be having fun. If you
yeah,
find yourself sweating too much,
yeah.
find something that makes you happy.
Yeah. Never turn your hobby into work, right?
Mm,
Don't turn your
gosh.
hobby into work. You will regret it, and like you said, you'll just grow resentful of your hobby, and you'll be looking for something else,
Yeah.
and it's just not a wise thing to do. So,
No, no, because then
yeah,
then you lost your spark,
yeah.
and that's hard to get back.
All right, so let's wrap up. So your next convention is
Total Con in the end of February. It's like
right,
late 20s of February, I believe. I don't know
yeah,
the exact date. That's in Marlborough, Massachusetts.
right,
If anybody doesn't know about that, look it up. They're already doing game submissions for it, and I think badges might be like this weekend or next weekend.
right,
So fantastic convention. The folks who run it are awesome. You will have a good time. There's a ton of TTRPG stuff going on at that convention.
yeah. And that's a larger convention than Rising Phoenix, which is in April. I think
I
Total Con is,
I think it's like twice the size.
yeah, so it's about 1,500 or so.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't feel big and crowded though. They've got a
right.
big hotel. They've got
Yeah,
many different rooms, so you never really feel like you're like shoulder to shoulder
right.
piled onto other people.
Hmm.
It's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
have to get out to a Total Con one of these years. I'm
You
committed
have
to
to.
Rising Phoenix this year, this upcoming April. So maybe I'll take a look at Total Con the following year. You
Yep.
know,
So I'll be there as well.
Yeah, I've been
Um,
bouncing them around and trying to get to 4 to 5 conventions every year. So it's
it's a
kinda,
lot. That's a
it's a
lot.
lot,
Yep.
and even though some of them are very local for me,
It's still a lot.
it's like it's still a lot to try to pace them out, 3, 4 months in between, so yeah, it works out. And plus I'm kind of condensed because I lose the entire summer to,
Mm.
family vacations, which I enjoy, but still, it's like,
Yep.
the whole summer is kind of occupied.
Yeah,
So,
I don't do much in the midsummer either. A lot of my
yeah,
work
it's
keeps
like,
me working during that time anyway.
yeah,
I'm also planning to get out to next year. Hoping to get out to Gamehole Con in Madison, Wisconsin,
okay,
which is it's a year from now. It's October of
yeah, yeah.
next year.
It was like
Um,
last weekend, right? It was like,
yeah.
yeah,
That's been on my radar for years now, and every
yeah,
year I've found a reason to go to a different convention. Like this year, I went to GaryCon instead in March, and so I'm hoping 2026 we get out to Gamehole Con for the first time, which
mm,
has from what I've heard and what I've seen has an unbelievable TTRPG scene. Um,
yeah,
that yeah, I just would really like to check out and see firsthand,
right,
how cool that might be. Yep.
yeah. Well, you should definitely take a look at at the Central New York Gaming
Yes.
Convention. That's a
Yeah.
small one, but
So the small ones that are on my list that I haven't hit yet because they always bump into something else are ShireCon, Page, and Central New York.
yeah,
And I haven't got to any of those yet, but I'm
yeah,
hoping to get at least one of those checked off next
yeah,
year. And then maybe if it's good and it works for me, maybe I can just get it into the rotation, you know?
yeah, yeah. Those are January, June, and September.
Which
So
one is January again?
January is Page.
So
So
my
that's
birthday's in January, so that might be a way
yeah,
I can get away with it. I can tell my
yeah,
wife it's a birthday
yeah.
gift.
And that'll be 2,000 people easily next year.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that exploded.
So that
That
went that
exploded.
because last time I was looking at it, it was much smaller than that.
It was like
Must have been
800 the
grown.
first year,
Yeah. Yeah.
1,800 the second, and it'll be over 2,000 by next year.
Wow.
By
That's
January.
wild.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be over 2,000. So that one's in January.
All right. I'm pulling that up now.
Yeah, Central New York. I have the flyers here. So Central New York is June 12th through the 14th. So, and that is in New Hartford, New York. So there's Central New York's. He's following the Beckme thing because last year's was red, so he's following the Beckme box
I like that.
covers. Yeah, so
like
that's
that.
a really smart move on his part. And but yeah, that was a great first year con. 200 people, phenomenal experience. So that one I highly recommend. And ShireCon is one of my favorite. So ShireCon is in September. I think that's like September 26th or something like that.
I'm looking at ShireCon is mid-September, sometime mid-September.
Yeah,
If it's
like
the same
second to
time.
third week. Yeah, usually third week of September.
Do you know if Page offers any type of remuneration for game masters in terms of like badge compensation or anything like that?
I was a special guest last year.
Okay. All right. So
I
it didn't
pay for my
impact you.
badge last
Okay.
year,
Okay.
and the first year I went, I don't think so, but maybe that I can't go this year. That's why I'm not going this year. Because I was already booked for other ones anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think with that being in January, I might book that like pretty soon here. I'm just looking at it right now. That
Yeah,
looks
I
great.
know. I don't think they have any. I don't think they have any more gold badges left, and that's the one you're going to really want.
No, looks like it's sold out. So, but they've got
Yeah,
weekend badges available.
yeah. Although you could always reach out to Ron and let them know you're a creator and blah blah blah, and if you're going to run things there, maybe they'll find a gold badge for you, or sometimes people drop out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely reach out to Ron.
Well, if you have any way of making an introduction there, I
Yeah,
would greatly
I'll,
appreciate it.
I'll reach out to him and see. I'll hook you up through Facebook.
That would be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just taking a look to see if they have a schedule up yet or not.
Oh, there's definitely a schedule up.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
There's definitely
got
a
a lot.
schedule up and everything. Yeah, I think if you reach out to him and say, hey, I'm a creator. I have my own publishing company, and I at the very least like to get a gold badge. That way you can go like that the evening before and go to the the dinner that's for gold badge owners, or
Really?
special guests and everything like that. You'll meet all the other creators out there. Kelsey Dion will be there. Professor Dungeon Master. All these really well-known individuals in the hobby. You'll meet them there.
Wow. That sounds
So yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. So that I would definitely say that's a bigger con with or let's say a mid-sized con, but still with a small con kind of feel. But it's a big draw on special guests.
And they've got 14 Savage Worlds games currently scheduled.
Yeah.
So that's great too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're like I said, it's a convention that had that, that real OSR independent kind of, you're going to see everything being run there. Really good selection of stuff there. So yeah, I'll definitely reach out to Ron and set that up for you.
Thank you, Richard.
You know?
And I know we're running over our time, but I did want to not end this without mentioning
Cool.
that, I know that your audience already knows this, but I think that, or I personally want to thank you for the show that you run, because I watch a tremendous number of these shows, and I'm on as a guest on a tremendous number of them as
Yeah.
well. And I want to thank you for having conversations on your show that I think widely are avoided on most of the mainstream gaming channels that I watch, because they enter the world of controversy, and because they talk about tough subjects that are real things
Right.
that are occurring in the world, while we're being fans of gaming. And I think that is such a breath of fresh air when I listen to you while I'm doing my chores or I'm at work, that you're actually talking about something that people are going to get, for one reason or another, kind of fired up about. We need that. We need that more than ever now that, I feel, free speech is kind of under attack. And so, yeah, I just want to say, thank you for having me on, and thank you for doing what you do, because you do an excellent job with it.
I really appreciate that, and like I said, I mean, I really respect what you do, at the conventions and the products that you put out there, and I mean, I'm not just blowing smoke, up your butt. I mean, inspiring how well you run games at conventions, and
Well, thank you. I try really hard.
Yeah. So
they don't all go that smooth, but I do try hard.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Pete, for coming on. And everyone, remember to hit over at that Kickstarter if you haven't done so already. I will put it up one more time, and we'll see where we're standing. And let's just do that. So if you haven't done so already, check out Beacon Island for Savage Worlds on Kickstarter. And it is I'll show you the front cover of the book there. That's the big selling point there. That's giving you a good idea of what you're really looking at. And enjoy it. Check it out and back it if you can. All right, and I will stop sharing. So thanks a lot, Pete. Good to see you as always. I will be looking forward to seeing you at Rising Phoenix. And can't wait till that's like 2 weeks away. He's going to open it up, and we'll get a chance to see what games are going to be going on over there.
Awesome. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
You have a good one. Thank you, everyone, for stopping in. And I am going to hit end stream, and it'll take about 3 seconds for this to go